Hello, my artist friends. Are you admiring my bracelet? I hope so, because this is what I'm going to show you how to make today. This is actually made out of hemp, but it has what we call a bead clasp, and I want to show you how to make that, as well as how to do a simple, or maybe not so simple, weave called macrame. And macrame is really just about tying knots. Not all of us are the greatest at tying knots. So I'm going to do my best to kind of slow down and take you through it. First things first, whatever kind of thread you use, and usually your thread for making a bracelet would be really quite thin and small. And what you want to do is you want to get an arm span of thread. Arm span means fingertip to fingertip, but as far out as your hands can reach. Whichever hand is on the end that's already cut, that person can, or that hand can drop it, grab the scissors, and cut from the other side. You're going to want to have two pieces of thread like this. See, I'm just going to readjust a little bit here. Okay, that's a little bit better. Now, what you're going to do is put those two pieces together. I've decided to use two different colors so you can see. And I want to match up the cut ends. So here's the cut ends. I put them together like this. Now I'm going to go all the way down to the other end. What do you see? A loop. We want to use this loop as part of the clasp. So if you look at this one that's open, now this one I have some beads on, but I have a button on one end and a loop on the other. So you must pick out a button first. And I want to make sure my button will fit through and not be too little. So for this guy, I want to have a much smaller loop. Okay? So what I do is I have the loop in one hand and I pinch it here and I kind of use my ring finger to kind of push it, and now I'm crossing the thread itself. If you want to do this on the table, that works too. So what we literally have is an X and an O. I'm going to take the loop and I'm going to put it underneath one leg of the X and up through the O. So to do that, I pinch where it crosses in the middle of that X. I push underneath. See how my finger's kind of pushing it up? Then this finger comes to kind of support it and make sure it stays up. And then I can reach through. Now, remember my button was really tiny. So what do? Is I hold onto the top, and with these fingers, I kind of push that knot. I'm kind of like feeding it through like this. You see that? And I push it, and there's the hole for my button. Now, what I suggest you do is get a plastic bag and put your button in that plastic bag with your name on it, because that way you know you're not going to lose that pretty button. Now this next part I'm going to show you with bigger thread or yarn, because I really want you guys to be able to see clearly what's happening. So what I like to do when I do this is I like to take a piece of tape and I like to, and I'm going to do this up a little, there we go. And I like to tape my work down to the table. Okay. Now, since there's 4 strands, I need to decide, am I going to use the blue or the yellow? I think I'll use the blue. So I take one blue, put it on one side, one blue, put it on the other. And then these 2 yellow strings are going to be my middle strings. Now again, if you want to tape these down, you could, because we're not really going to be using them. But I think it's easier to learn how to do it without them taped. What I'm going to do is I'm going to choose one of the blues, and I'm going to say choose the blue on the right. pick it up with one hand. The other hand brings it across the yellow. So now they're both pushing off towards the left. And I have a P for Pernie. What I'm going to do now is with my P for Pernie, with my right hand, I'm going to pinch it. So I'm just pinching it. My left hand, I'm going to take this other blue string and I'm going to push it over the line that's from the P. Then I'm going to take it, my other hand again, and I'm going to push this so it's going to come up through the P. Now when I do this, I just push it with my finger. So now it looks like this. Here, I'll show you again. Okay, ready? Here, it's over that line from the P, and then I push it under with my fingers on my left hand. I take over that pinching, and I pull it through. Now, that might have sounded really confusing, but take a look at what I've got. I've kind of got a hole here that the yellow strings are going through. And I've got one string going off to the right, one string going off to my left. Now what I do is I hold down these two yellow strings, or I hold them, I like to hold them with these fingers. And then I still have my pinchers, and I grab a string and I pull it tight. Now I go for the left side. This time I'm going to make a 4. You see it? My right string needs to go over this one. So it's going to go over. Then my left hand, so I'm kind of taking turns. My left hand pinches, and I push with my right hand under, up, and through that loop of that 4. Oops, did I do the right one? Oh, here I'm showing you I did the wrong one. So sorry. Talking too much, Pernie. And then I pull it tight. If you're not careful and you're pulling it tight, sometimes what'll happen, oh, your yellow pinches through. So you just want to kind of hold on to the blue and just pull that yellow out. It'll come out. Be patient. Now I repeat. P, over. Notice I'm not using the ends of the threads. To use the ends of the threads makes it more difficult to manage. I pinch, it's over, under, up, and through. Pull it tight. Switch. 4, over, under, up, and through. Pull it tight. Now I know I make that look very easy. It is going to take you a little bit of practice. But if you dare, look at those beautiful knots. You can make a whole bracelet like that. Now, let's say you are finished with your whole bracelet. Kind of going back to this little guy here. And I'm just going to tie a knot saying this is where I'm finished so you guys have an idea. Always measure your wrist to see how long it should be and make sure that you leave a little extra. So if I'm all the way around with the loop here, I'd want to start putting my bracelet on about here, or the button on about here. Okay? Now, I have a lot of extra thread here. That's okay. This button, some buttons have 4 holes, some have 2. This only has 2 holes. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to choose one of the colors. Kind of twist those ends together of the 2. And I push it up. Sometimes if you want to get a little water from the sink to push it through, that will work. Oh, this one's not going to go through. Let's see, Perny, come on. Ooh, 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 ooh. And, oh, and it went. Try that water trick again. And I kind of like squish it down, right? And I'm going to put it through the other one. Go on, little buddy. Come on. Get in there, you little guy. Only one of them. Oh, I got it. Now, I want this button to be all the way up next to that knot. So I'm going to, now that I have it, kind of pull it all the way to the knot. And then underneath, I've got these, the green and the pink, or the turquoise and the pink. Now, I'm just going to tie a double knot. Remember where you cross it? Pinch, up, under, through. Wait a minute. Do you notice something? That's right. These knots up here are actually the exact same knot as this. Only those two little lines would have gone through here. So I'm going to do this twice and then trim. Now when I trim, I don't want to trim it right next to the knot. I'm going to give it just a little bit extra space. And there you have it. There is your bracelet. If you're going to try this, I hope you have a lot of fun and give yourself patience and time. You'll get it. Have fun, artists. Go make.